Hi guys, it's Shell, Heart of It All Custom Creations. Welcome back to another video. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. Hit that subscribe button to see future videos. I post new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. So today I'm doing a really pretty evening snowy-ish scene. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm starting with this 20-ounce sublimation tumbler, and I'm going to go ahead and lightly sand it. You don't want to sand it so much to where you take off the paint, but just kind of that top layer so that it's not real slick and that the epoxy will stick to it. So I'm going around and sanding it down, and then I just take 91% alcohol and clean that up. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I think it's 1.5 inch wide painter's tape, and I'm going to mark out where I want my snow to go. It's going to start, of course, at the bottom. And one thing that I wish I had done a little bit differently here is gone up a little higher, because where my trees end up laying, you'll see later, but I mean, it doesn't look bad. I just think I probably should have done it a little differently. And I wish I had not done what I'm about to do, which is cut to make it look like rolling snow, because you can't even see it in the end. But at the beginning, I thought I had a great idea. So that's what I'm doing here, is just cutting kind of wavy lines to look like, snow mounds or whatever. But this is totally not even necessary, because you can't even see the different levels once we get the trees on. So once I do go around and get that all cut off, I do remove the excess tape from the top, so you can see how it kind of rolls. And then I am going to prepare this to paint the top half. And I'm going to do kind of an ombre, it's not kind of, it is, an ombre evening sky, darkest at the top and lightest at the bottom. So I'm starting with this like lightest blue paint that I had, and I'm going to add some white into it. This is ColourPop, and mix it together to get it even lighter. And then I'm going to paint that as the closest to the tape. Now going in with the little bit darker blue that I originally started with before I added the white. And I'm going to add this next layer and blend those together. And this doesn't have to be perfect. This is just for kind of a guideline and base layer for when I go to put on the glitter, that I won't have to do a ton of layers of glitter. This will cover that white up pretty good. And then I'm going to go in with my darkest blue and do this at the top and blend it down into the medium blue. Once that's done, I'm going to let it set off to dry before I move on to the next step. So the glitters that I'm going to be using is, technically there's 4 different glitters, but it's like 5 different applications of it. I am using that right there as a mix between that lightest blue and white. I forget the name of it. I'll list it all in the description box below. So I'm adding just a very thin coat of epoxy onto this tumbler to do the epoxy method, adding the glitter. And I'm making sure to really get right up against that tape so that I don't have any missing spots. And then I will begin to add my glitter. Right now I'm just making sure that I have very good coverage and it's a thin coat, not too thick to where it would soak up that glitter. I just want the glitter to lay on top of it. So once I get that done, it'll be time to add the glitter. And I am going to start with the darkest first. And I'm just doing a very light, thin line up at the top before I do any ombres. I'm just sort of mapping out right now what I want. So I'm going to add that, tap off the excess, and then go on to the medium. And I'm going to go down a ways and add a significant line all around there. Still not blending yet. And then I will go into the next one, which is the lighter of the four. And then this is the mixture that I'm adding right there at the bottom. And once I get done with the bottom, that's when I'm going to start blending in. I'm going to tilt my tumbler up a little bit and let it blend and cascade up into the next glitter and so forth. My camera shut off, didn't know it. But when I realized it, I was already up at the top. So here I am, got my tumbler tilted, and I'm just tapping the glitter. It's that, I think it's called Wonderland, but I'm not positive. The second to last shade, and I'm just tapping up into where the navy is. And then I will go in and bring that navy down into tilting it the other way. And I'm just sort of focusing on the rim and letting it cascade down. That way that's not overpowering it. And I'm just tapping so it doesn't pour out like it did that very first time. And once I get all of that and get it to the way I like it, it has a really nice pretty ombre look from the darkest to the lightest. I will then tap off all the excess glitter, and then I will remove the tape. And there's the tapping. And I do save this. All the glitter that's excess that falls off, because it's a mixture at this point, I do put into kind of a spare mixture of glitters. So I have a really wide variety of glitters in a jar. So then I'm taking off the tape, and you can see the line that's there. So I'm going to let this completely dry before I move on to the next step, which of course I forgot to record. But I'm just using Mod Podge here, and I am using a hack glitter from the glitter guy, and adding that into for the snow. And I really wanted this one that has a kind of like different, like almost a rainbow shift, as if the snow is glistening in the evening. So I think it definitely achieved that. So then after that is all done, I will set this off to completely dry, and then I will spray this 2 times with Rust-Oleum Clear Coat spray, just to seal it so that the glitters don't move into each other. So I then added 2 coats of epoxy, and now I'm cleaning up my rim. You want to be very careful when doing this, because I almost cut myself. So because of the glitter and epoxy, and I did 2 coats, I am taking my little Dremel here and going around to the rim to expose that stainless up at the top, so that the final coats of epoxy do have something to adhere to. So I'm just going around and just lightly at an angle doing that, and then I'm going back to my sanding sponge and kind of smoothing that out. And then I will also sand the rest of the tumbler, any pokey bits that there might be, which this one didn't really have too many. It did have some at the bottom, but I just sanded this down very lightly because I didn't want to work all the way through the epoxy. And then we'll move on to the next step. So all I'm really going to be doing is adding some tree lines. And initially I was only going to do a light gray vinyl and then this black. And then once I got the gray on, I decided I needed like a medium gray. And so here I'm going to go ahead and place this around my tumbler to see where exactly I want it. And this is right here. You can see I'm going up into the blue. This is where I wish I had gone up with the white a little more. It does not look bad. And I tried to kind of fix it, which you'll see here in a little bit, once I get it wrapped to where exactly where I want it. I'm just going to peel back a little bit of that backing, lay it down, smooth it around, and then press down, going all the way around till I get to that side, pull up a little bit of that transfer tape, and then laying it down, and then removing the transfer tape. I thought I could try to mimic some of the snow going through. So here I'm going to place to see where I want it. And this is where I decided to add a third layer. So here I'm going to go ahead and I'm trying to mimic kind of like rolling hills instead of that stark line. It wasn't necessary, but I still did it anyway. And then remove that excess vinyl. And then I'm going to go ahead and I liked how the darker was down farther. So that's why I wanted to do a third layer. So I wanted them to look like the smaller trees were in the back, like in the distance, and then the medium size. So you're like looking into like a forest-ish kind of way. And I definitely think I achieved this. I just wish I had done some of the glitter a little differently because this was an evolving tumbler as I was doing it. So here I'm placing the medium gray onto the tumbler and pulling the backing off and placing down the transfer tape and going to smooth it all the way around just like I did with the lighter gray. And then now I'm going to go ahead and add the biggest of the trees in the black vinyl and place that exactly where I wanted it. And I tried to stagger the trees so that the further trees in the gray would be peeking through the lower points and the taller points be between. Hopefully you can see what I mean. I don't know that I'm explaining that all that well, but that's what I'm doing here is just making sure that I have everything that I want. It kind of looks like you've got a line of trees and then there's more snow field and then another line of trees. So you can see what I was kind of going for there. So I'm still trying to figure out where exactly I want it placed. Once I do that, I will do the same exact thing that I did with the first two lines of trees and lay the vinyl down, smoothing it out. And then I will go through and pop any bubbles and remove any extra little teeny tiny bits of vinyl that was still left between the trees because they were so little. It was just easier to put it on the tumbler first. So I'm cutting off the back here, placing that down. And then I will do the same thing that I did on the other ones and go around and smooth that down onto the tumbler. So now that that all's done, I am going to seal this with the CC DIY Quick Coat. And then once that's dry, I do add Mr. Nola's Fast Set Epoxy to this layer. And I mixed up for this one 20 milliliters. And I ended up doing 30, but I only needed 20. But I did use the excess for another tumbler I'm working on. But anyway, so I did transfer it to this little bit bigger of a cup, mixing that really well together. And then I'm adding just a little bit of Marshmellow, like the tiniest bit of Marshmellow from Glitter Heart Co. into it to give it kind of a sheen, especially onto the trees, to almost look like it's snowing, like a very light snow. So I'm going to add that to the tumbler once it's all mixed together, and then smooth that out, and I will show you once that's done the next step. I use my torch to pop any bubbles, and then I'm going to use these stars from the Glitter Heart Co. and they actually glow in the dark. So I'm just sprinkling those on mostly up at the top, kind of down into the lighter blues. So I let this spin for a few hours, and then I put my final coat of epoxy using the alumilite epoxy on, and then she was done, and this is what it turned out. I actually really like this. Like I said, I really wish the lighter trees were more in the snow, but I don't think it looks bad. But I love the little stars added and that it's just pretty simple. But I really, really like how this turned out. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a great big thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.